Welcome to the, I guess it's the November 2024 meeting of the El Sobrante Municipal Advisory Council. This is an advisory council that supports the Board of Supervisors, specifically District 1. And yes, so welcome, and we'll start off with the treasurer's report. Or roll call, I'm sorry. Thank you.
All right, so Thomas Lane.
Here.
George Cleveland.
I'm here.
Jim Herman. Please excuse absence. Dr. Melinda McLean.
Excused absence.
Mickey Norris. Tom Owens. Randy Lloyd.
Here.
Terry Etlinger.
Here.
And Jed Hart.
Here.
Right.
We have a forum. Would somebody like to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so now we can go to the treasurer's report. Let's keep it short now.
Yeah. $2,901.32.
Okay, have people had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? Are there any issues, questions, or objections with the previous meeting's minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from October with any potential corrections.
Okay,
Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions or carries? That was.
Okay, so, oh, sure.
Yeah, Ronnie, what did you say the total is this time for the?
$2,901.
Okay, so that, it seems like it's corrected from the last time.
Yeah, it was the same as it was last month.
Oh, I thought you said it was 2,000, maybe.
All right, so minutes are approved, so now we start our regularly scheduled presentation, starting out with the county update, and it's like Supervisor Joy is here.
Great. Good evening, everybody. Couple things. First, we want to we sent out an email about this, is welcome all of you to, we're going to do our annual office holiday open house at our office on, let me give you the date. Ronnie may have the date handy, but I could pull it up. It's on a Thursday evening after work on December 12th from 5:30 to 7:30, and we'll send out another email about it. And it is we also use it as a fundraiser for Verde Elementary School, or Verde K-8 school in North Richmond. But we started it up again after the pandemic last year, and you're all welcome to come by for some food, refreshments, desserts from 5:30 to 7:30 on December 12th, the Thursday. I did want to update you. The county is negotiating with Republic Services about a potential extension of our franchise agreement. If we can't come to terms, we will go out and do a larger process. Just by comparison, the city of Richmond and San Pablo and Pinole, which have a different date for the end of their franchise, but similar, went out and did an RFP, and only one company bid on it, and that was Republic. And so they're sitting down to negotiate what types of provisions would make sense. And we, as I say, we're in the middle of negotiations with them. The current franchise agreement goes to the end of this year. It'll probably get extended into next year by a few months. to give us time to see if we can conclude an extension that would get us additional services at a reasonable cost. So let me tell you several things that we're focusing on as part of that franchise negotiation. First is increasing illegal dumping services. Right now, as you know, Republic, there's an on-call system to pick up. What we're looking at doing is, and we would incorporate it into the rates and spread the cost, is to have a route to collect illegal dumping in the right of way 2 days a week, in addition to the on-call. So what they would do is there would be 50 collection stops per route day. So they would be stopping basically at 50 locations. So they stops, so twice a week, their truck would be out in the public right of way, picking up illegally dumped material. So that's one item. And again, that's on top of the on-call. And what this would do is result in the illegally dumped material being picked up a lot quicker. The second item we've been thinking about is right now, you have the ability to, one time a year, I don't know if people know this, and we're going to get this publicized more, to have one bulky item picked up one time each year on an on-call basis. So we've been discussing with them to look at increasing that to 3 bulky items one time a year, so that you would have the ability, if you had 3 bulky items, you could call and they could pick up 3 that one time a year instead of 1. Or that can be swapped out for 5 e-waste items. 1 item can be swapped out for 5 e-waste items. We also would do a program to allow multifamily complexes of 5 to 20 units to have 2 bulky items picked up one time a year. Currently, there is no program for multifamily. This would, we think, help relieve and reduce illegal dumping by extending this service from single family to multifamily. We also, right now, you can call and twice a year and you could put out up to 2 cubic yards, which is of bag material, which would be 15 35-gallon bags, twice a year. And we only are seeing about 10% of ratepayers are using that. We do want to get greater publicity for that. I think we're going to have that advertised further to really publicize it, because 90% of the ratepayers are not utilizing this service. So one of the things that we're exploring is to convert one of those 2 on-call dates to a scheduled date. Remember, in the old days, there would be a particular day. Let's say it's June 1st. And on June 1st, you put out your 15 bags. And what would happen is, as you saw your neighbors begin to put it out, it would remind you, oh yeah, we need to do this, and we publicize it. So we're thinking of converting one of those 2 dates. Instead of 2 on call, 1 date would be scheduled and 1 would be on call. And that would get probably a greater participation rate, because it's scheduled, you'd publicize it, and then people would see it happening. The other thing we're negotiating is a quicker transition to electric, zero-emission, non-polluting, quiet garbage trucks, either all at once or over a period of time. So the new garbage trucks would be quiet and non-polluting in the neighborhood. All of these things cost money. We are working to get those priced out and looking at negotiating rates. So there would be all the existing array of services plus these. So I just wanted to give you an update, and if you want to provide any input on that, you're welcome to. So that's really the end of my report. I just wanted to, since it's an issue that affects everybody, we wanted to let you know about that. Oh, and by the way, El Sobrante Library has its 5-year anniversary coming up, 5-year from the rebuild. And that event is coming up on the, I think it's on the third, is it on the
23rd.
The 23rd, right? So it's on Saturday, the 23rd at 1 o'clock. It's the 5th anniversary, and there'll be events happening there. Oh, one other item. I have been in negotiations with the owner of the car wash on San Pablo Dam Road, which purchased the Maori property. In concept, what they want to do first is they want to extend the parking lot to the car wash and put in some vacuums, and then also build housing. We changed the general plan and the zoning to not allow any more auto uses on San Pablo Dam Road and Appian Way. And I think that was at the request of the community. That particular site is now a site that is zoned for housing, not for industrial. And so we told them, if you are interested in seeking a general plan change to slightly expand your car wash, in addition to building housing, we would like to see a community benefit that involves transferring property for a park. So they have, in concept, agreed to that. The devil is in the details. So they are working with the county on a pre-application to expand the car wash, which would take a general plan amendment, build several stories of housing, which that site is now prioritized for housing. And then as part of that, transfer the back part of the property to the county for a park. So that we'll see, that'll take time as they go through the land use process. So those are my updates. And any questions?
Yeah, we'll start off with questions from the council, and I'll start off. I was wondering, John, if you could give a summary of the current situation up on Clark Road.
Oh, yeah. So we have reached an agreement with the Park District where the county is going to, and I did update the property owner and the school about this a few weeks ago, or a month ago, and the county has proposed to the Park District to share some cost to do some capital improvements on Clark Road, to do some road improvements, where East Bay Regional Park would pick up, I think, 1/3 of the cost. The county would pick up 2/3 of the cost, and that then the county would take on the ongoing maintenance of Clark Road, which is currently a private street and not under county maintenance. The Park District has approved, the board did give direction to negotiate an agreement with the county. These things always take longer, but the park board did agree to this in concept, and I know the staffs of County Public Works and the Park District are working on that agreement. And once that agreement is finalized and approved, then the county will look to schedule to do that work and then sometime, hopefully in the first half of next year, we'll see, to do that work. And then the county public works would take on ongoing maintenance.
John, about the business with the park on Dam Road, and you said devil in the details and the like. You have a rough guess as to how long it might be before we see a park in that location?
Well, it's really dependent upon two things. I'll start with when would we get the land? It's the ball's in their court to go through the land use process, which could take a couple of years to go through the land use process. And I don't know how fast they're going to do this. You know, they clearly have expressed a priority for expanding the car wash, which of course is not something that I would normally support. However, based on hearing from the community, you know, and going through the process, I think if they propose a good housing project and a good job in how they expand the car wash and then the transfer of the land for the park, I think that's the concept. But really, it's, you know, getting housing approved, you know, getting multifamily housing approved, getting their general plan change. It's going to take 1 to 2 years to do this. And they're not going to transfer land to the county until there's a project approval. You know, they may say, well, we won't transfer the land until we build the housing. That's not going to be our position, but you know, that's why it's still unclear. But 1 to 2 years to approve their project, which that's when the land would get transferred. While we do have now $200,000 a year in District 1 for park maintenance, so we now have general fund dollars from Measure X to support park maintenance to be used in various unincorporated areas, which means we now have some money to maintain a park. We still don't have the capital dollars to build a park. So I think that's something we're going to have to set out to explore. I think once we understand and know when we'll get the property, I think we would want to go back and do a community process about that park. It's going to, you know, can build on what was done before, but it's going to be a smaller area than before. And I think it's a good time to reinvest in community input in that. So, you know, we're talking several years because it's going to take money it's going to take time to go through the land use process. How do we identify capital money to build a park, which we don't have the money for, but at least we have the money to maintain it. So that's the best estimate I could give.
Thanks, John.
Any questions from the council?
Mickey has one.
Hi, John. I must say, I love what you had to say about what you're thinking in terms of the negotiations with your public services. When you said that there's 50 collection stops twice a week, are those set stops or are they going to be circulating in a area to see where dumps are and pick it up where they are? Like,
I think that's all subject, I think, to discussion. I think the way we've done it in North Richmond is, you know, we may identify routes that are hotspots. So we will work with like your committee and the community. So what the routes are will depend upon where we think most of the garbage is and send them out along those routes. And that's in addition to the on-call. So I think that's going to be all subject to negotiation, meaning to determine where the garbage is, where the illegally dumped material is, and to send them out where it is. So having community input on that will be helpful. And we're hopeful to have this in place, extension in place next year.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, I love that you're expanding it to the multi-dwelling residencies as well, because that's so important, because we think that a lot of the apartments are people moving out are creating a lot of the dumps.
Right.
like
That's why
that.
we want to give them more ability, and this will all be in the rates. You know, and this idea that only 10% of people are using the on-call, that one of the on-call dates. So that, you know, it reminded me that if we have a scheduled date, we can publicize that scheduled date and get people to put all their stuff out and do it as a community. And then they still have their scheduled date, a scheduled date, but by converting one of the two scheduled dates to, I'm sorry, one of the two on-call dates to a scheduled date, we could really focus community efforts to get people to put it out. And I think more people will participate that way.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I don't know if this is part of Republic, but we've talked in the past about the idea of vouchers for people to have a voucher for the landfill to take things. Is that something that can be added into the discussion somehow or another?
We could, it cost, I mean, North Richmond has that because of the land use because they're close to the landfill and people don't use it as much. I mean, I think the question is it easier just to put it out? I mean, these on call allow you just to put it on in front of your house, so you don't have to drive it there. That's why, I mean, the question is, do we do a voucher on top of that? I mean, if you think about it now, you know, you have 3 bulky items that you can have picked up once a year, and then you'll have 2 days a year that you can have all these extra garbage bags picked up. The question is, you know, how many people will want to take it themselves? Because what we hear so much is people don't have a pickup and they don't have the ability to take it there. So trying to make it easier for them to just put it out on the sidewalk and for Republic to pick it up.
Well, that's great. One other thing. Terry noticed, maybe you want to speak to it, Terry. When you talked to Republic and we tried to reach out to BL about this, that she witnessed driving along Richmond Parkway, litter flying out of the backs of the trucks because they're not being covered correctly. So if there's some way of mitigating that
Right.
issue, because they are creating some of the litter that we're seeing.
And we did talk to them based on what you had said. We did talk to them about it, and they said, yeah, they said that, you know, their requirement is that they're supposed to be covered, and they'll really work internally to make sure that happens. Yeah. So we don't lose it. Right.
If there are no further comments from the council, we'll open the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you. I really like the idea of the voucher as an alternate possibly to the on-call pickups. I know personally, some of the things that I need to get rid of don't easily fit into a trash bag. And so that disinclines me to use that on-call pickup. It's easier for me to just load the nearly bulky items into my car, drive them over to the dump and drop them off. And the dump in the Golden Bear transfer station is more expensive than the other ones in the vicinity. So I know that there are residents in El Sobrante that wind up going down to Berkeley, or they drive all the way over to Marin to find cheaper dump rates. Is there a way that we could get an alternate for the on-call pickup where we could have a voucher instead? And can we get them to lower the rates to be more on par with the other areas?
Yeah, I mean, so we can explore having vouchers on top of it. I can tell you that more people don't have an ability to take things to the landfill, and that's why we're increasing the bulky item pickup from 1 to 3. So like if you're saying that you know you drive it down there, most people don't have that ability. So we're trying to give them more options so they can have 3 bulky items instead of 1, in addition to the trash bags. I would not want to replace the pickup with the voucher, because I think that would sort of unequally sort of impact like seniors and people who can't get down there. But we can explore what would it cost in the rates to have a voucher on top of it. We can explore that. So you don't think 3 bulky items, putting it out, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying the trash bag pickup, I'm saying the bulky item pickup. You can do that once a year on your curb, 3 instead of 1. Are you talking about things other than bulky items?
There are some things that are just kind of like long, you know, like if you have a lamp to get rid of, that it's not going to fit inside of a trash bag, it's going to poke holes in it and so.
So I think he said that you can put things that aren't in trash bags.
Yeah.
Sure, yes, so I think. What you're saying, I absolutely agree with, and I wasn't proposing vouchers instead of the pickup,
Yeah,
but.
right.
If Republic could offer an option to convert an on-call pickup to a voucher. So that you could
I see.
use the method that
So
works
maybe
best
the,
for you.
I see,
Rather
I
than
see, I
expanding.
see, right. In other words, if at the choice of the property owner, they say, hey, I don't want a on-call, I want to convert that to a voucher. Yeah, we can explore what that will cost. Let me just write this down, hold on. Let me write that down. So the items we'll ask is to possibly convert, whoops. Hold on here. Hold on here. Convert a scheduled and on-call pickup to a voucher. Okay, we can explore that. Was there another suggestion that we heard that I missed?
I just wanted to add one little elaboration to that, if you could convert it and make it transferable, so. For the elderly, if they have their children come to town or something like that with a truck, they have the voucher that allows them to send something to the dump, they give it to their, you know, son or their relative or a friend. And they can take it to the dump for them, so it's not tied to your.
Yeah, okay.
Driver's
Yeah,
license.
well, yeah. We'll explore that. That's a suggestion of what would that cost? An on-call. Got it. Okay, was there, I think that was the only suggestion on top of what we talked about. Okay.
I have one other, so at our subcommittee meeting that the Green Team talked about, we have some people who pick up big items that might need to go to the landfill. And we were wondering if the Green Team could get a few vouchers to be able to do that for our, when we're picking it up off the street of other people's stuff, it's not ours. And we'd like to know if we can have that kind of support.
Okay, we'll look at that and
If there are no further questions for Supervisor Joya's presentation, we can move to our next one. Thank you, Supervisor Joya, as always.
I'm making a note of these things. This is good. All right.
Tom?
Good.
I
Yes.
put a comment in the chat regarding the bulky items.
Yeah, yeah, feel free to ask it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Ronnie will log that in. All right.
You want to ask
Thank
it?
you, thank you,
It says
Anna.
here,
Anna
okay,
Marie.
it says here, I think the bulky items have weight restrictions, which doesn't allow washer. Oh, yeah, I'll see what those are. Okay.
So our next agenda item is the county fire. Michelle Reinhardt looks like she's online. Michelle? We can't hear you.
I defer my time to the law enforcement officers in the room since I know that they're on patrol. So I would be happy to wait.
Awesome, thank you so much, that's very considerate. So first in order is the sheriff's, Lieutenant Holland.
Lieutenant Holland Sheriff's Office. We got two of our local patrol, we got Deputy Hookwater and Deputy Golden with us here. So if there's any other questions, any details, they can probably answer a little bit more. So for the select crimes, the ones the FBI tracked, we had a total of 14 for last month as opposed to 6 in August and 18 in July. And that included an assault with a deadly weapon, which was actually a felony assault, and it was between family members. So it was more of a domestic, a few auto burglaries. We did take a few stolen auto reports. Last month, typically that's handed over to CHP to do, but we took 3 of them. We took one at Valley View and Dam Road, 4700 block at Dam Road, and another one on Kelvin Road. We had a couple 459 autos, which is the auto burglary. Over on La Paloma, on Oaknell, and the 4800 block of Apian. We had a commercial burglary of 3700 block of Dam Road. We had the residential burglary, 3800 block of La Colina. And other than that, everything else were, all the other reports that were taken by deputies were tows. Some misdemeanor stuff, non-violent or anything like that.
Thank you, Brandon. Any questions from the council for Lieutenant Holland?
Yeah, I'd like to know, have you seen any reports about an abandoned boat on San Pablo Dam Road? But between the Del Valle Circle and La Honda Road?
I haven't.
Yeah, our parking enforcement is aware, so with boats and like trailers, they have to get a special tow company, so they have to actually put it on calendar. So it is on the calendar, I don't know for what day, but our parking enforcement.
Great, thank you.
Further questions from the floor for Lieutenant Holland and his team?
Anybody on Zoom have any questions for Lieutenant? Well, we thank you for your service always. It's nice to meet the deputies that patrol locally. And I guess it's say save your crew well.
Yeah, and we'll keep moving that trailer around. I know it got messed with a little bit. Somebody decided to turn it away from traffic, but we'll keep moving it around and putting out some side streets.
Is it a homeless person staying by the car wash on that Pebble Dam Road?
There's a few of them.
In a car?
In a car? I don't know if anybody who's been staying there, you guys.
The green one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 1 or 2 people living in there. They get told frequently to move. But they can only be parked there for 3 days and then they get tagged, have to move again.
Because I
another
see them
3 days.
sometimes and then I don't, and then they're back, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
oh, and then they're back.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, the only violation that they have is like within the 3 days, and they're well aware of that, so they keep moving every 3 days. It is currently registered, the people that are living in there aren't. There's no criminal activity going on, fortunately, they have tried to get them out, but they have picked El Sobrante to hang out, so.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
an odd place to want to park.
Yeah, they were here in the library for a little while, and now they're on San Pablo Dam, so they kind of just keep moving around.
They were nice enough, I was cleaning up one day and cleaning up around them and, I mean, they didn't bother me or anything.
Yeah, they're friendly, but yeah, it's a little bit of a eyesore.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? So Sergeant Pruitt?
Yes.
I called you officer.
Oh, that's all right.
I should know better.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So the highway patrol's been absent, as I think you guys know, right? I only say that just tongue in cheek, because we're experiencing statewide an entire issue with personnel and hiring and recruiting. Our office in Contra Costa, which is in Martinez, is now experiencing a training kind of office where we're training new officers more frequently than we ever have. So that's good and bad, because it takes our officers away, because you have to double up while you're training, and then there's this whole cycle that they go through. But we'll eventually get staffed, and that's the plan. So as a department, we're recruiting statewide. It isn't just Contra Costa that's experiencing this. It's Oakland, it's Hayward, it's all the Bay Area offices that are around here. I know that Sergeant Fajardin came here one time. He worked in our office at one time, but he fielded some of your questions, passed it on to us. We do not have the staffing, and we didn't, and we're not now to have anybody specific like the deputies that are here that serve this area. We've always had in the past one central, west, and east, and when we talk about east, for Discovery Bay is as far as we go. The central areas, Danville, Alamo, all the way up to Pacheco, and then the west end is what we deal with here. I can tell you the complaints that we get from the citizenry that live here, San Pablo Dam Road has always been an issue, whether it's speed or parking enforcement, motorhomes, abandoned vehicles. That's a consistent complaint that we get or some information that we receive from you guys. We address it as we can, we're not like the garbage company, we just kind of go out when we can, when we're staffed, or we'll specifically assign an officer to come out and work speed enforcement on San Pablo Dam Road, that would be their assignment for the day. We have a new captain, so hopefully with him, there's gonna be some changes, and with the new officers that are getting off of their break-in training, we'll be able to hopefully staff a position on this CRT spot that would cover the county, and then eventually add additional officers to where we can service all the time. I know when I was on the team, George, I think you're the only familiar face here, that I was an officer out here, and I left in 2016, before I promoted, and we had 6 officers, 2 were state service, patrol, so they do all the state buildings. But so there were 4 of us countywide, and we're down to nothing, so. An apology from us that we don't have the staffing, but that's just a matter of systemic problem that we have that we're hopefully gonna overcome. That's really all that I have to report. If there were some questions that weren't answered from when Sergeant Fajardo was here, or something that needs to be followed up with, you can certainly ask me that, and then I can come back here with another report. Hopefully, I'll get another officer soon, and then they can provide that report.
And just, well, you mentioned it, but we just want to stress again, because there's been a lot of chatter about it, because when CHP was here and doing the enforcement on Dam Road, conditions improved noticeably, and now they are tailing off again, and they've been speeding, accidents. Was there a fatality accident on Dam Road? No, but injury accidents recently, just people are driving crazy on that stretch.
Yeah, a few months back, we had the fatality that was here on Appian. That's the last one that I'm familiar with. And to what you're speaking about, we during COVID, we had a SEU team that we had sent out. And our speed enforcement unit, what we call that, and we literally wrote thousands of tickets countywide, and we saw a huge decrease in the speed. San Pablo Dam Road was on that rotation. And so you do see the speeds drop, but then when we can't staff it, it kind of just comes back. And that's always a challenge for us, and it's always a challenge.
I always bring up Hilltop Drive
Yes.
as well, because when they get staffed, it would be nice, because people drive too fast, on it, because they're coming from or going to the freeway.
Yeah,
And then there's a center turn lane right by the entrance to the Memorial Park, because people seem to think it's a travel lane, and it's a passing lane.
yeah.
Which it's not. So.
Yeah, it's and those specific complaints, we do have a beat unit on the west end, so. When when we're running the numbers that we run, so like on day shift, we have 7 officers that are working countywide. When I worked the road, we had 12 to 14, that was, if we would dip below 12, we were up, what's going on, why are we running so low? But it's now, 6 and we're holding people over. So that kind of gives you an idea of what our staffing is like. But we do have a West End unit that works out here. And that includes any calls for service. Sometimes the sheriff does help us. They'll respond until we can get there. So we do work with the allied agency in that regard. But we do have somebody out here that can handle stuff, so as it comes up.
I just had one more.
Yeah.
People who don't seem to understand that the traffic lights on the on-ramps to the rear are actually traffic lights, and that if it's red means you actually stop. And not like 5 of the 6 cars I was behind getting onto 80 from Elko.
Just going on.
Zip through. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the same thing, that I've just seen it, just pulling up to the stoplight and then have the guy next to me just zip by me.
On the on-ramp?
Here, on the on-ramps.
The
And I'm
metering
wondering if
lights,
that's
is that what you're talking about, the metering lights?
Yes, and I'm wondering if there's some potential like technology solution to that, like a camera. I mean, it seems like
Yeah,
you could do like red light cameras that they have.
sure. So there is that technology, but us as an agency, we're not gonna be dealing with that technology. We're here to just do enforcement and service. So that's gonna be an engineering issue that Caltrans would do if they're doing the cameras, or county roads, or like traffic lights. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sue.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. At least I can get an idea of who we could potentially contact about that.
but some of these complaints that come in, that we feel, we can give them to the direction they need to go. We give it to the agency that need to deal with them, but Caltrans primarily deals with the engineering, or if there's some type of roadway engineering issue, they can come out, guardrail replacement, maintenance, they handle all that stuff.
I see that,
Yeah.
you know, I wouldn't say every time I get on the freeway, but frequently.
Frequently,
And I
yeah,
think it's actually dangerous because at some point, you know, you're gonna have somebody just cutting it too close.
yeah.
I see.
Well,
it.
another-
Well, and we have officers, depending on where the roadway is, that you can stand there and just hand stop people, and it's just like a conveyor belt. You write a ticket, and then the next guy, and the next guy, and then, I mean, unless you're working it every single day during that time. Where people see you out there, which we call MV patrol, they're just, it's random, you know, it's a random thing, so. Getting our guys to work the roads and to work the issues. That's where we see a curve in those violations. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any further questions, Randy?
Just for clarity, what is the jurisdictional line between Martinez and Oakland CHP?
Okay, so the jurisdiction is gonna be El Portal on the, actually Appian on the freeway, so we talk about Highway 80. It's Appian, and then we come down here to El Portal to the intersection on South Pablo Dam Road. And then all the way up to 24, to Bear Creek, where then Renda picks it up. But Oakland will handle the freeway up to Appian, and then and they'll handle El Portal, well, that's actually San Pablo PD that would handle up to El Portal.
But El Portal west or south would be all Oakland CHP as well, freeway.
Yeah, El Portal is San Pablo PD.
Right.
On the surface street of El Portal, but the freeway itself is the state property that we.
It's Oakland.
Yeah, that Oakland would handle. So a lot of times we'll get calls that are up at Appian and they occurred west of Appian, and that would be Oakland CHP's handle.
Right.
So sometimes we cross and the other thing that's going on too, we're staffing Oakland right now, and assisting Oakland through two different programs. And one of them of which the governor has requested us to be out there, because of crime in general. And so it's like, that's taken us staffing away as well. And then is it 1 month or 1 week a month? We have to staff a surge group.
This
that
is
goes
the
into
city of
Oakland.
Oakland, the city itself.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Oakland Police.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's, I'm glad I'm not at that rank where I have to make those kind of decisions, but. It's hard enough just to get our new officers, literally, it's like, hey, this is how you gotta write this, and this is how we write in a police style. They're that new, where they just, their careers are getting started, and we have to train them up, which takes a lot of manpower and a lot of energy to do that, so. And it doesn't help the community, I understand that, but just so you guys know, we understand that, and we're trying to get out here as much as we can.
It's an investment.
Exactly, it's an investment.
We haven't seen you in a while, so it's good to see you.
I know, yeah, and I apologize for that.
That's not good. Glad you're here.
Yeah,
Further questions for highway patrol from the floor?
Well, actually, I wanted to hear.
Oh, okay, Terry, sorry. Jed.
No problem. One thing you mentioned was the dam road enforcement, you said briefly the traffic lights themselves, red light enforcement is not CHP.
No.
So who did you say, county road, what was it?
no, that's not what I was saying, we were talking about cameras.
Yeah, so
Like,
that's because, if you look at the stoplights themselves, like. El Portal and Dam Road, it gets like a big enough intersection that it's generally adhered to, but the next three. Going
Milton.
south are it's a drag strip, and so frankly, it's like those lights should meter the speed to an extent in areas that you see a lot of accidents and hit and runs on the cars parked there and the like. But the lights are being just entirely disregarded, and so.
Yeah, so then when we relate, to clarify, state property, Caltrans is gonna take care of, unless it's a state route, like SR4 past Antioch.
So we've got Caltrans, it's like, Caltrans is who, like, I don't know, you petitioner or something along.
They're gonna take care of the light, the metering lights on the on-ramps, that's state property. So the lighting, the lights that are on, like San Pablo Dam Road,
Yeah, correct.
that's gonna be county public works that would take care of that, so the engineering, the engineer for. Contra Costa is Monish, Sen?
Same, yeah.
Singh, yeah, he's still there, and then John Swan is one of the traffic, I think he's, I don't know what his exact title is, but he does analytics on traffic collisions, crashes, fatalities on these roads. So they're the ones that go around, they put the equipment in for the speed feedback signs, the radar signs. And they rotate those signs all over the county, but you might see a pole that's just there with nothing on it. So they put several of those out there throughout the county, and I know San Pablo Dam Road is one of them. But the light itself to meter, that's gonna be an engineering issue that Monish would look at, and then the crew would implement whatever it is, but I mean. I know what you're talking about.
The lights should function as like metering the speed at which people are driving on the road, because frankly, it takes a little bit of time to get to 80.
Sure,
But the lights are just being blown as though they don't exist. And so
they're running the red lights,
oh, it's not even like, so running red light, I feel like involves a certain like flare to it. No, this is the light doesn't exist in the mind of the driver.
okay,
And I think even like signs that say there's red light enforcement
yeah.
without would go like a decent way, but
So if they wanted to introduce a camera, that would be the engineering side of it, if they wanted a speed enforcement, I mean, a red light camera,
yeah.
yeah,
The state just recently introduced cameras for enforcement, and they're doing, I believe currently. I believe it's in 5 or 6 of the largest cities in the state. They're doing like a trial.
For speed enforcement.
For speed
Yeah, we're
enforcement.
talking about just the red light enforcement, it's pretty dangerous, especially for the smaller intersections.
The county would be, they probably do have signs that say like, red light violation, X number of dollars. To get that posted, that would probably be the county, one of the county.
yeah, it's
They probably have those signs that you guys can request. For posting through the county, we don't have those and we don't have those yet.
So are there any more questions for highway patrol?
Anybody on the Zoom have any questions for Sergeant Pruitt? And actually, we didn't get your.
Sergeant Kelso.
Thank you, Sergeant. Yes, we don't wanna say, hey, you, because, all right, well, thank you for coming and bringing your update, it's good to see you. Nice
yes,
to meet you.
Thank you all.
thank you.
So, I guess, Michelle?
Hello, Chair Ling and board members. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, my laptop speakers are failing. I've been using them too much. So I have an appointment with IT tomorrow. So first, the county coordinator funding for 2025. We are currently seeking additional funding, and I will keep you posted. Ronnie will be in contact with me in December to give an update. One of our recent success stories is our Confire open house. We were blessed to have 755 attendees. The event was free to attend, free parking, free admission, and free food. We do look forward to another event in 2025 with our valued community partners, such as our Firewise neighborhoods, fire safe councils, and partnered agencies. As a reminder, please register for the community warning system. I'll place the link into the chat at the conclusion of my presentation. And also please follow Confire on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, etc., for regular agency updates, and I'll place that link into the chat. On to the Contra Costa Wildfire Mitigation Program. So reporting for the program is improving with mapping, exterior fire tracking, and fuel reduction projects. Support for new regulations for the CAL FIRE tracking fuel treatments is reaching maximum effectiveness with mapping. So feedback is happening at the local level and reporting statewide. Our project goals for 2024 to 2025 fiscal year will be 150. And as a reminder, that will be up from 103. And that was the completed projects for 2023-2024 fiscal year. Coordination is ongoing with all jurisdictions, cities, and residents within the county. Onto the East Richmond Heights shaded fuel break. The previous application, as you may recall, was denied. So our plan is to regroup and build additional community support and reapply. All funding sources are being considered, including beyond those from CAL FIRE, so outside of CAL FIRE funding. Depending on the grant we identify, we will either need letters of support or letters of commitment, and we are working on a template for both, and each are moving through the pre-approval process. The draft is complete, and I will publish either or, whichever form is needed when the funding is identified. As a reminder for neighborhoods and groups, and especially in unincorporated areas, for evacuation drills, we ask residents and Firewise groups to coordinate with the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office. ConFire will participate in any drill organized by the Sheriff's Office. And another reminder, please log on to Genesis Protect to know your evacuation zone. And again, I'll place the link into the chat. So current status of the program, considering the weather, the current rain is decreasing our overall fire risk. Crew 12 is increasing mitigation project work through the beginning of 2025, and then training will begin in the spring for what we anticipate to be a very active fire season. More rain in the winter means more fuels grow in the off season, and then as those fuels dry, we see more active fires. And again, speaking to the CAL FIRE tracking tool and how we are tracking exterior fires, that all of those tools will be used during a more active fire season. The new home hardening program is expected to launch in early 2025 to support the Zone 0 recommendations. Projects must be shovel ready, meaning no vegetation in the 0 to 5 foot area of a residential structure. Gravel is being looked at in several types, because we realize that providing a single style of gravel is not what the community wants. So several types and colors of gravel are being looked at to gather that supply, and will be provided with a $2,000 limit. Vent mesh will also be a part of this program, and we are hoping that this will help homeowners with their insurance. All other project types remain open and are accepting applications. Please visit our ConFire website, and again, I'll share that in the chat, and reach out to me if additional support is needed. Typical support may include technical needs, project identification, or project development, and I look forward to helping any resident or HOA that is interested in applying for a project. An update on the Lafayette Walnut Creek Shaded Fuel Break, that's a $3 million project, which is 194 acres in total, is 72% completed, which began January 29th, 2024. The CEQA process has taken 12 months, and our current delays are due to the protection of the Alameda whipsnake habitat. So we're cleared to begin pile burning, weather permitting, this winter in areas that cannot be chipped or grazed. So I'm sure that some of you are asking yourself, why is she sharing information about the Lafayette Walnut Creek Shaded Fuel Break? It's not in our area. So I have regularly shared with you the progress of that shaded fuel break, so we can set expectations if and when the East Richmond Heights Shaded Fuel Break project is funded and is underway. So you have that, understanding of how a shaded fuel break moves forward in each step. Onto the insurance topic. There are new California Department of Insurance regulations that mandate insurance discounts for 3 designations. First being Firewise. Firewise USA communities help neighbors connect with neighbors, creating that consistent messaging and providing some sweat equity to leverage against the wildfire mitigation program and possibly other grants to support a community. Second designation is a shelter-in-place community. And the third is the fire risk reduction community list. Now, as ConFire explored the community reduction list, we discovered that the next application period will be open in 2026. So we will pursue that in 2026. As for mandatory insurance discounts, I'll provide the Safer from Wildfires link into the chat at the conclusion of my presentation. But there are mandatory discounts for the insurance companies must provide, considering a set of criteria is met. And these include Class A fire rated roofs, maintaining a 5-foot ember resistant zone around a home, including the fencing, providing a non-combustible space of 6 inches at the bottom of the exterior walls of the structure, ember and fire resistant vents, upgrading windows to either double paned or added shutters, enclosing the eaves around any open eaves and closing those, clearing vegetation and debris from under decks, removing combustible outbuildings in zone 1, so then that 30-foot zone, and meeting CAL FIRE and local defensible space requirements. We anticipate all of these being more impactful as we move into 2025. We received notice from CAL FIRE that we expect the local responsibility area maps to be released in early 2025, and CONFIRE will have public outreach along with a public comment period. Currently, we do not know the time frame of that, but again, as they seek additional county coordinator funding, I will keep you posted. And thank you very much for our work together. This last 16 months has been really impactful to the community, but also to me. And having this MAC board as a resource has been a blessing. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Michelle from the council members? Any from the audience?
Anybody on Zoom?
Anybody on Zoom?
If not. Thank you, Michelle, for your report. As always, very informative, and we much appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Michelle. Appreciate your report. Our final presentation is from Edmund on the residential non-payment policy.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday?
Yes.
Hump day. Hump day. Hello. I am Ian Opperell, Community Affairs with East Bay MUD. I cover wards 1 and 4. 1 is this area, Richmond, El Sobrante, Hercules, around there, Martinez, and also 4, El Cerrito, Berkeley, around there. I'm going to talk about the residential non-payment policy update, and let's go to the first slide. There. So the residential non-payment policy history, pre-pandemic, can you imagine? I mean, we have to really talk in times like that, pre-pandemic. There were shutoffs, there was non-payment for theft and tampering. During the pandemic, East Bay MUD Board of Directors met and said nobody gets their water turned off at all, period. Doesn't matter how late they are, any of those things. Post-pandemic, that is where this policy had to go back into place. So there are property liens being placed. There are flow restrictors for non-payment. Next slide. We'll talk about what that is, and there'll be questions at the end. What you're looking at right now are notices that have gone out starting October 1st. First, you see the bill is past due. It's very vibrant. We need attention. Then you see flow restrictors for renters. For property owners, a tax lien. For renters, a flow restrictor. And we'll go into what the specifics of that next slide. So what even triggered this? Late payments from 4 years to 93 days. So there are some customers who have not paid since before the pandemic, before March of 2020, they were already late. So there are some accounts that are more than 4 years old. The next were the customers who have been unresponsive. So there's been communication with them, notices, door hangers, phone calls, trying to reach out. Hey, we want to help, get on a payment plan, but no response. Homeowners then With no response, the next step was a lien. The flow restrictors were installed on single family home renters only. If they had not responded for 93 days, so 93 days is trying to get them to respond and there was no response. Then you see this will not apply to master metered multifamily rental units. And then that last bullet, collection efforts began from the oldest accounts to the highest amount owed. Next slide. We're gonna talk specifically about El Sobrante in a moment. What's a flow restrictor? Your regular water flow right now is 15 gallons per minute. This flow restrictor brings it down to half a gallon per minute. Restricted flow provides enough water for basic necessities, drinking, cooking, and sanitation. And the water dependent on appliances cannot be used when a flow restrictor is installed, meaning washer, dryer, a lot of that simultaneously. A flow restrictor will interfere with that kind of simultaneous use of these units, of these appliances rather. Next slide. Let's talk about El Sobrante. This is who we are, this is where we are. Please forgive the map, that is not you. I was pulling some things together and I was supposed to change that. So right now, throughout the entire service area of 1.4 million customers, 96% of customers pay their water bill on time. 4% have not paid their bill and have been unresponsive. But let's talk about El Sobrante. Right now, El Sobrante, 63 of the 1,873 accounts are in arrears. 42 are renters and 21 are owners. So that is specific just to El Sobrante and the particular zip code for where we are right now. Next slide. We have one of the most generous customer service programs in California. There are payment plans, there are extensions, we have flexibility. There are income level requirements depending on the number of folks in the home and the income, so they do have to qualify. But qualifying, pick up the phone. We want folks to pick up the phone, call us, make contact. We are working to make sure that these bills are as easily paid on a payment plan as possible. Community-based organizations further assist customers as well. So there are some out there. Next slide. And there it is. That's the 800 number for anyone. If you hear about someone, hey, what is going on? I didn't hear anything about this. What's going on with the water? Flow restrictor, ebmud.com/flow restrictor, ebmud.com/lane. And then there's still at the very end, ebmud.com/CAP, CAP, for Customer Assistance Program. Next slide. Questions?
Any questions?
Well, kind of a statement, to those that don't know, I am retired from East Bay Mud. I retired a little over a year ago. I worked in customer service. And dealt with all the fun stuff related that you just talked about of all the flow restrictor and figuring it out, because it's been in progress for the better part of almost 4 years. One thing I asked is, you mentioned the zip code. Now, we share the zip code with Richmond, so how do we know for sure that those are specific addresses to El Sobrante?
Our customer service department confirmed that those numbers are specific to El Sobrante residents. And we are I have a breakdown, we have a breakdown, El Sobrante, Richmond, and San Pablo. We have a very specific breakdown of each of those, so I do know about sharing. But when it comes to how we're certain that these are El Sobrante, they counts.
Well, how, the reason I say this, and this is a bit of, we'll call it inside baseball, working at the company. The databases that it used for most of the customer accounts, databases change over years, and the really old database from many years ago, some of the stuff that's carried forward with the zip codes that say Richmond, for those that live in El Sobrante. So if you've been here a while and you lived in the house for a while and you look at your bill, if you still get a bill in the mail, or even if you don't, it's going to say, mine says I live on Lambert Road, and my bill says Richmond, and the address, it's El Sobrante.
What zip code?
9.03.
Exactly, these are only 9.03.
But what I'm saying is, my bill says Richmond.
Mhm.
I live in El Sobrante. So how can we be sure, based on what I know from my time there, that those numbers are accurate?
Our customer service department said those are only El Sobrante, 94803.
Okay, well,
Maybe I should have said that on the front end.
yeah.
94803, Mr. Cleveland.
Okay, that could be, but, all right.
Those numbers are great numbers.
Well, yeah, they are, but I just wanted, there was something else I was gonna ask, but I forgot, never mind.
I think if I answered it
I
already
wish we were
subliminally.
making money out of the inside baseball.
Not gonna happen, I'm retired a year, I don't remember most of them anyways,
All right,
brain drain. So-
any further questions regarding EBMA service non-payment?
Hey, Eric.
I think what you said was, to me, was ambiguous about if they don't use any other, water, can they wash their clothes?
If I wasn't clear, I was saying simultaneously, if you tried to have the washer, say the washing machine going, the dishwasher going,
Okay,
the
yeah, I
shower
just,
going.
You one at a time.
you could do one at a time, you just can't do multiple pieces.
Could you run a little?
It isn't, it is, say that again?
Could you run a little laundry just by itself on the inside?
Possibly, so I'm not gonna do the engineering thing and act as an
Yeah,
engineer
that's
or
what, I just
construction.
wasn't clear, I just wasn't clear,
I remember.
you know, you might be, you can use your toilet, you can wash your hands,
Mhm.
but
Don't do it
you
at
may
the
not be able to do the laundry.
Simultaneously.
That's the point right there, when you, if you would stop with the simultaneously, then I would think only one thing at a time.
Okay, well, let's break it down one thing at a time.
Okay.
All right.
I remembered my other question. You mentioned the multimeter things when you don't, what happens if, and I've seen this happen, where there's someone, they're renting a house. And they have a lot of people and they say, hey landlord, is it okay if we convert the garage into living quarters? And landlord said, yeah, sure, go ahead, I'll help you with it. And so now you've got a multiple family dwelling with 1 meter. Which I'm gonna get going on a limb that the East Bay Mine is not gonna know that it's a multifamily dwelling. And so they get behind on the bill and they come out and put a flow restrictor on it.
Mhm.
So something to think about. And I'll say this for the benefit of the group, I mentioned that to the leadership of customer service in Twitter on more than one occasion, and sometimes they got it and sometimes frankly they didn't get it, so.
Okay, thank you. Hi.
Hi, the 4% for non-payers, where is that being distributed as far as maintaining the financial loss there for EdMud? Is that being put back into the rates for payers?
Repeat that, please.
How is the 4% being accounted for as far as EdMed continuing the, targeted revenue flow essentially? And is that 4% being absorbed by the 96% of payers?
Right now, and I hope I'm gonna answer your question, you can let me know. Right now, there's a total of over $22 million in arrears throughout the entire service area, And East Bay Mud is eating that. It's just something revenue we don't have. So yes, having that 96% who are paying is helping that 4% who are not, but we're not increasing anybody's rate and any of those things to help pay for the 4%. Absolutely not.
That does answer my question.
Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Hi there, thanks for the presentation. I'm just wondering, with those flow restrictors, are they set up for different amounts of water at a time, or there's some standard settings, like if it goes from 26, I think is the regular, but then it'll go down by 15, or then maybe.
No, it goes straight from 15 to a half.
And basically.
To a half gallon. per minute.
It's for it's for residential customers, and most residential customers have the same size, diameter meter, 5/8 inch. So it's sort of like a one size fits all. If there are some, there are some residentials where it's a larger meter, sometimes up to 2 inches, and I guess if need be, he's been able to figure out, well, how do we do it for that? So yeah.
Okay, so it's a one size fits all.
Yes, pretty much, yes. Hi.
Yeah, so I think you said that there is some assistance programs for people who are low income or poverty level? How does that work?
There are, and I don't have, and I'll send it to Ronnie, and I would like for him to send it to you, I have a flyer. So based on the number in the household, 1 to 6, they have an income level. And so up to 50% of the bill is reduced, providing they fit the income level in the household. I would say though, that is for future bills, not for the arrears that they're in right now. So if they applied, even though they may be so many months behind, we still have to put them on a payment plan for that, for moving forward.
So nobody gets free water or?
Is water free?
Pretty expensive.
So,
I have
okay.
one last
So,
question, if you tell me no, because I'm still skeptical on that statistic of 60 feet. In any way, just give me a look like, looks like George. Is there any way, not the list of account numbers, but just the list of the streets?
No, yeah.
Not even, I don't need house numbers.
I know exactly what you're saying. We are strictly, here are the numbers. We are not doing addresses, streets,
Okay.
side streets, alleys, none of those things, blocks.
Okay.
So, thank you so much for your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
So now we've reached the point in our agenda where we have an open agenda, so if you have something that is not on the agenda that you'd like to speak to, speakers get 2 minutes each. And so, please,
Thank you very much. I wanted to bring up some things that are happening on Renfrew Road. They've been.
Can you tell us who you are, please?
Sorry, my name is Adam Morgenthaler and I'm a resident of El Sobrante.
Nice to meet you, Adam.
Thank you. All right, so I live near Renfrew and there are some things in that neighborhood that have been persistent. So when I moved there back in 2014, I submitted a complaint about a junkyard condition at 647 Renfrew Road. I've brought some pictures of this that show a number of disabled cars, boats, shipping containers, and a general state of disarray on that property. There was also in June of this year, a large fire that happened there that broke out. Somebody was living in a trailer on that property and it was a large explosion. My neighbor explained that when she heard it, it sounded like a door slamming shut. Once we found out about it, we were woken up. There was a lot of pops, cracks, it sounded like fireworks. Somebody on next door hypothesized that it could be from the ammunition stored on the property. I think this is a really big problem for the community. It's already shown this last summer that it is a fire danger for the community. There's questions about what kind of materials are stored there. And I've asked the county to submit code enforcement back in 2015. And right now they are handling this as if the code enforcement complaint was only submitted in January. So I'm asking for the original code enforcement complaint to be reopened so that we can handle it on that kind of a timeline. I understand that this is an elderly couple. I don't want to penalize them. I don't want to be doing some sort of destructive thing. I would like the county to intervene to remove these things for them so that they're not having to do it themselves. And so that they can live in a safer environment.
And Mr. Chair, I have an update on that. I'm glad to give you an update because we did get contacted on this.
Go ahead, sir.
You want an update?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so we've been in contact with code enforcement and I'll read you an email from the head of our building department that he just sent me this week. I mean, he did say the property owner is a sympathetic figure because it's a senior who may appeal the abatement to the board. So what it says here is we are going to proceed on the path of abating the violations on this property. We are serving the required notices, selecting an abatement contractor, and scheduling the abatement. Tentatively, I estimate the abatement will occur in mid to late January. The property owner, a senior, is a sympathetic figure who may appeal the abatement to the board. The county has been trying to work with them voluntarily, obviously. He has been cooperative with our staff, but his limitations have prevented him from voluntarily removing the violations, even after years of complaints and code cases. It is inconceivable that he will be able to remove the violations on his own. Therefore, abatement is the only reasonable pathway for removing the violations. Should he appeal, the abatement will be delayed until an appeal hearing is scheduled at the Board of Supervisors. Code enforcement will continue to be in our office. So that's the status. They expect abatement in January, unless it may get delayed if he appeals the abatement, which he may, to the Board of Supervisors. So that's the status.
Excellent, thank you. It sounds like what I came here to request is already underway.
Yeah, I think we heard about this because I could be wrong, but one of our. But
We heard about.
because one of our council members was not here this evening. He lives sort of in that area, doesn't he? No? Tom, is on there?
Oh, Tom, I was.
No, Jim was on Linda. Tom, one of our MAC members who's not here tonight, lives sort of in the general area, remember, and I think he has mentioned this to us in the past, but it's good that the supervisor's office is taking the action and getting things done, but just, I mean, you got the pictures, I just looked at the map and I said, oh, that's messy, because it is, you know, just Google Maps, like, wow, there's a lot of stuff there, and you know, it is unfortunate that that properties can deteriorate like that. But hopefully this will be resolved and there won't, I don't understand why there would be an appeal, because it's like, sir, your property needs some help.
So just one question, with these sorts of appeals, would he be charged for this? Would this be put as a lien against his property?
Good question, though.
I'm sorry, what's your question?
John, would the resident be charged for the abatement?
Of course.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well,
Yes, well, yeah, that.
So, and if he couldn't
You're
pay,
still-
that
it
would go as a lien against his property?
Sell it. Well, let's let the supervisor
Yeah.
answer the question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you can't pay it, what happens next? Do they put a lien on the property?
You want me to?
Just out of curiosity.
I'm trying to answer, but, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, okay, yeah, so if they can't pay, there's a lien placed on the property that's collected when the property is sold.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
George, to your point about how it affects the community and how this type of thing tends to spread out. There are two other circumstances in the community regarding that. One is an RV that was permanently parked in front of a house. This is at Renfrew and Rincon Road. They've connected utilities and there's a gentleman that walks out of it in his bathrobe most days that's been seen. So I've submitted a code complaint against this as well. The other code complaint that I have submitted is regarding a gentleman on the corner. It's Renfrew and Charlotte Way, where he's parked vehicles. There's 6 vehicles permanently parked on the street on a corner of a 1-lane road, where when cars coming around that corner suddenly have to try and avoid each other and there's not enough space for them to pass. He has been cited before, the cars have been green tagged, he removes them, he shuffles them around. I saw him today working under the hood of one of them, since I submitted a police report recently. They came in tagged and he's trying to shuffle them again. I'm asking that the county consider turning that corner into a no parking zone to mitigate the safety hazard that is there. And let the police handle the fact that the cars continually park there greater than 72 hours.
So I want to just.
Can you send those to my office?
Yeah.
So we can.
I have them, John, Rosita, she's gone out there this week, and I have all the case numbers, so I can send all that information to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So just the only thing I would say is it's good that your issues have been documented and now Supervisor Joya is aware of them and they're working on them in the office. But I applaud you for not directly confronting the people involved. I think that's not your job to do.
And this begging to be persistent, the one thing that I've observed in code enforcement is you have to keep after them and also be patient because it takes a while. Because I brought something to them
I'll submit those for record if you don't mind.
Oh,
If you
okay,
guys want to include them in the meeting minutes or just for your files or submit them to Joya yourself.
okay. Because there is a vacant house
I think you
on,
already.
okay, on Santa Maria. Off of Hilltop, and it's been vacant since I lived in the neighborhood, which is 20 years. And a few months ago, I was driving down to my house and I looked, and there's an RV, a large kind of raggedy RV parked in their driveway. It's like, well, that doesn't belong there, but it took them several months to do something. Part of it was my fault, I gave them the wrong street, I should know better, it's my neighborhood. But it still took them a little while, they got to it, and so that's the good thing, you have to be persistent and polite as well. Because they have, it's a staffing issue and because it's county, there's lots of things all over the county that they have to deal with, so. But they do get to them, so, but it's good that you're very persistent in keeping that.
And after 9 years, I think I have been pretty patient.
And use the mobile citizen app.
Yes. I've reported things about as much as I can, I'm a busy person as well, and.
For future reports, that's a very streamlined way of doing it.
Yes. The one last thing, I'm sorry, I forgot about it, and I know that you guys are being lenient with my 2 minutes, there's been a lot of back and forth. There is an RV parked at the corner of Hilltop and La Paloma. I submitted the first complaint about this 2 years ago. I've been pushing on this while I've been pushing on the Renfrew Road issues. I have a picture of it here, it was tagged last week, the tag was removed by the owner. The vehicle has not moved and is connected to the electrical circuit of the house. This fell in a gray area for a little bit because it's parked on public works property, not on the owner's property. So it wasn't the sheriff's office handling it and it wasn't code enforcement handling it. The sheriff's department has now started tagging that and working on it, but for a while it was in limbo. So I think you guys know what it looks like if you've driven down Hilltop. That one has been there for 2 years.
No, I just drive it. I don't realize it's been that long because I have to drive right past it to get here, to my house.
Yeah, I'm well aware of it.
Yeah. Okay, pass them on, so everybody can take a look. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you for being persistent and for your comment for open agenda. And if it's okay, I'd like to move to the next open agenda is.
Anybody else have any public comment? On the call, on the Zoom? No? Nothing else here? Okay, I guess you can move on, sir.
All right.
Yeah, well, I want to speak. My name is Hisham. I reside in Sobrante since 2012. Actually, I live exactly across the street from Adam. And I support him about we have a representative the complaint. We suffer from that also. And one more thing I will add is actually parking the car in the bike lane on a piano way.
Excuse me?
The cars are parking in the
Bike
bike lane.
lanes, yeah. It's not only unsafe, it's inappropriate.
Sure.
It make like the street like looks, and that put the bikers in really serious danger. So I think that must also change somehow.
Yeah, it should. That's something I think you would contact sheriff's office for that, right?
What is it, sheriff or highway patrol responsible for helping you?
No, I don't think they are.
I know.
We'll find out.
I don't believe the sheriff does their job.
Okay, all right, so
Actually,
I think, because I know obviously CHP handles Dam Road. Anyway, because I know I see it.
there's one
right
officer
there.
handling some public on the road, yes, but up in a way, no.
Okay, that is something, although, as you heard earlier from Sergeant Pruitt, that they are staffing issues with their
Yeah.
group. It would still be appropriate to contact them and keep track of the times that you contacted them, so you have a log, you said call here, I called here. And just let them know because it is a safety issue.
Yeah.
It is inappropriate because the bike lanes are there for obviously bikes.
Exactly.
And I see it, basically from almost kind of.
So I think it would be
Paloma down.
perhaps a good idea if you see such an offense, to take a picture of it. And then enclose that picture in an email to Highway Patrol and Ronnie, if we could get Hisham the correct email. To
Send something to the
send something to the CHP formal complaint.
Yeah, that would be helpful, that would do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any
I
other?
witnessed really lot of like incidents, almost the bikers is gone, like with the bus, with the truck, with speeding car, too many things, yeah.
It's very important. I think we have one more public comment. Yes, sir.
Jeff Gilman, I live next door to Adam. And 30 years ago, when I moved out here, property owner that I bought the property from informed me that code enforcement had been informed on 647 Renfrew Road. I know this is getting to be a drag to y'all, but I want to make sure that I'm heard. 97, I'm losing my train of thought, okay, but what I wanna make sure I'm gonna say is, I wanna say that I appreciate you all going till January the 20th with this individual. I'm willing to wait till then, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman. Yes, Chris.
Yeah, I just, another question, in a case like this, it sounds like these people might be hoarders or something like that. I'm just wondering if when they send out a code enforcement, did they send out like a social worker or somebody who can help them maybe address some of those kind of issues as well? Because it might not just be about abatement, it might be just a psychological mental issue.
We don't know, and I don't think that, I think that that's not necessarily in our purview or in code enforcement. I think they're there to deal with the outside property issues, because that's the issue that's causing the problem. All the stuff and the fact that there was a fire. I don't know that they would go inside the house, because I don't know if that's part of their scope. So, but it's an interesting thought and a good question.
Well,
So-
can I add, if the property owner needs or asks for help, the county has done that. We can always have a social worker or someone go out there to work with them. They can't force it on them, but if a property owner is open to getting help, you know, the county can work with them.
That's good to know. Thank you, John.
Thank you. So, okay, if there are no further open agenda comments, I think we can move to the next item of business. And so these are discussion items, basically development plan applications, variance reports, building modification requests, etc. that we received in the previous month from the Department of Conservation and Development. And this relates to file number CDD P24-03037. So this is a development plan for a new 3,500 square foot building with 5 residential units. And so the scope involves removal of 2 code protected trees, a new driveway and sidewalk work. And I was wondering if the representatives of the project are here. Yeah, okay, great. All right, so I'm wondering if you gentlemen can just take us through it.
Sure, full scale drawing, I don't know if it's helpful or not, or.
Yeah, sure.
Lay them out or something.
But you can tell us who you are.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Nathan Watkins. I'm the applicant, the architect for this project. Okay. And I'm here with Luis, with one of the property owners.
Okay.
Another table, but yeah, we're proposing the properties along, I'll give you a description of the property real quick. It's along multi. M11 zoning, yeah, it's M11 zoning, and it's just it's for multi-use, they're proposing apartments, housing. We're trying to go 2-story, but we dropped it back because of parking requirements, is just use twice. It is along a creek.
Yeah.
It is along a creek, and we've taken kind of the proper setbacks from the top of bank. So we have plans to do bioswales and so on, to reduce the any runoff and alleviate storm drain system, but just using bioswales to filter that into the San Paulo Creek. And that's, I mean, we've got some adjustments, we've gotten comments from Public Works, we've gone ahead and made some head work, or legwork with the arborist report. And there's I made some mistakes on the trees, they're. I don't know, I used an old image, so stuff's changed since then. But the arborist report should reflect that, so there's some amendments to this that will happen. But it's a little more to the building. It's 5 units, it's intended for multifamily apartment kind of setup. Each individual unit would be a single family. 3,500
for each
per
unit.
unit. But like 700 to 650, because there's some utility rooms that take up.
Relative like 1 bedroom units.
2 bedroom, I would call them like efficiency units, but they have like. The idea would have like stack dryer, but you each have a kitchen, living room, a bathroom, and then 2 bedrooms is kind of the typical layout.
Are these being proposed for condominiums or rentals?
Rentals.
Rentals. And what kind of, how many parking spaces are you putting in?
We've got, I think it's 12.
Well,
I think it's 2 per unit is the idea, or 2.25, something like that, but it equates to 12. We actually even put oversized parking just because door dings are an issue. But we were also trying to comply with the parking, the covered parking requirements, which is 50%. That is on there.
So you have 6 spaces there and like 600 cars.
Yeah, there's 2 accessible here on toward the front. They have the easiest access to the public right away as well. And then you got 3 along, or 6 oversized here, and then there's I think 5 or 4 or 6 in here. I'm not 100% sure.
And then the access, the driveway access, will that open out onto Appian Way or?
Yes. Yeah, originally there was a track, I think it was in the 80s, it showed, it kind of continued where now there's a cul-de-sac on a, it's here, the cul-de-sac. So
Right.
there is some right of ways that were not shown there originally. I had it on the site, on the existing plan, but not on the overlay. But we just have to move like a trash enclosure to make sure it's not in that easement. It's for Edmond, the easement.
But what you'll be doing is you'll have your driveway open out onto Appian Way.
Correct.
Are you planning, so do you expect like left turn lanes, left turns from the middle?
It'd be a
lane?
Yes, it would be like a 2-way entry, double, like so 24 to 25 feet wide path. We also considered the fire hammerhead turnaround. That's in the space as well. There are some comments that it's kind of in a FEMA flood zone, a corner of the lot is. But we think, you know, with grading and mitigation, it shouldn't be an issue. You know, the bioswales should account for a lot of that.
Has that proposed design been reviewed yet by the county?
It's in process. They're still, like again, Public Works chimed in on that, so they have seen that. That's part of one of our responses is including the FEMA overlay onto the site plan to show that.
Where are the trees that would have to be taken out?
So I need the site plan. Well, and that's where I think I made a mistake. I just kind of did a Google Earth, and I'm guessing like that was maybe a tree, but it could be just like shrubs that were just cleared. Let me go to the demo sheet. I thought though that was a tree. I could be wrong. The images are weird, but that's kind of the 2 that we were that's mentioned on the proposal. And I'd like to get rid of it, but we need the hammerhead so the fire department can do the proper turnaround.
And where's that from?
This is, yes, here's the entry, so I can show the actual site now that it's clear. So yeah, here's the entry, exit. And you kind of just, here's the standard, you know, parking accessibility. You got the access to the public. applicable path to travel. The other easement, the one that comes, that I don't have on here, but I will put on is the cul-de-sac. Continuance of line, and this is in the path, so that'll just get moved either here or further down to the end of the town.
So when are we gonna be visible for that? It's not that visible.
The trash enclosure or? No, this is all you're gonna see is really a lot of these trees are being kept. It's beautiful vegetation. This would help, upkeep homelessness going on there.
Oh, yeah.
So we clean that, the owners actually clean that up, a lot of that, so.
Right, so the thing is having all the greenery projects. They're positive for several reasons, it's greenery, and also it's a sound barrier as well, so it's true. A little quieter.
Protects the creek.
And it protects the creek too, I was getting there, it's a third thing. Okay.
I'm always concerned about the addition, when you have multi-units, the addition of litter around the area, so. Assuming that the property owner would be on top of that.
Yes.
Mickey's.
Otherwise, we're coming at you.
That's why
On the other hand, it's good to have a development that's actually bringing people to live in the area as opposed to another gas station.
Yeah. Mickey's the head of our. That was like the concern about the environment, making sure.
We've got the arborist report ready for you, if you want to take a look.
More than you know.
Okay.
Commentary and questions about this? No? Randy, anything, any questions about it?
I have one about the elevation above the creek to where the unit's gonna be.
Sure.
What, you said the creek behind it, right?
Yes.
Just wondering what the elevation difference is, how much lower is it? Is it like a fairly steep drop off or is it
It's, I would say about,
general?
on the deepest end, you got like elevation, I think it's like 106, I can give you closer.
Lab elevations is 117.5.
So that's probably 10 feet or something.
Yeah, I did have a topo that shows elevation on the road and everything. Let's see. Here we are, we got 108, so 108 is kind of the lowest point. So roughly level. Yeah.
And so I think, I've heard enough.
There's just one thing I don't know, it says a code protected tree, what? That's, so you're seeing quite a bit of landscaping, I don't need to see the actual, I'm just
Jed wasn't here at the last meet, excuse me, he wasn't here, so we had this discussion, so we'd like to get him.
I just don't know what the phrase, like, what is code protected tree, like, it says quite a bit of landscaping, vegetation, what have you, what makes these two trees special?
Age and size.
Age and size? What kind of trees are they, you know?
I know oak trees are protected in California, but I don't know if that's where we just got the arborist report like this week, I haven't had a chance to review.
Okay, so it's not like they're being protected just for statute, the elder statesman of the tree world. Okay.
But again, I may have made that as a mistake, cause I might not put Google Earth image, so I will amend this. I took some pictures, so I didn't see any.
Do you add trees when you remove trees?
There are three, I think we're adding 3 or 4 trees just to provide canopy for parking, or, it's the whole. Heat, we don't wanna generate heat islands, I think it's called heat island effect. So we're reducing that by, creating canopies of our vegetable trees.
Okay, dumb question, how far along are you in the project?
This is the first plan review, and it hit the planning department, and it deferred to you.
I'd like to open discussion on this. I'd like to open discussion on this, so do you have any more questions?
I thought we were doing.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of, from my point of view, from everything I've heard, I feel pretty supportive of this project.
Oh,
There are really positive aspects. I think, you know, the vegetation is largely preserved. I think it's gonna shield the building from the street, which is going to be, I think, good from the point of view of the neighborhood as well as for the people who live there. I think the impact on traffic with just 10 units or 5 units is gonna be minimal.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see more residential properties going up compared to the sorts of businesses that, you know, we've had, so I'm supportive of this.
Yeah, I am too. You heard me say who I worked for prior. If you haven't gotten in touch with their office that deals with I call it the new business office for construction, because this is new and you have frontage on the road, which means you have access to the water, but there's no meter or structure like it. Do that quickly because it takes a long time to get that done.
Understood.
So-
Yeah, we branched out to EV Mud
Okay,
already,
good,
but
because
yes,
it
for water.
takes a while just because of the number of the work that they have to do and the number of projects they have in the pipeline from all over their service area, so.
Okay.
So just to let you know.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Do people, how do people think about it? Are we okay with me writing a letter of support to Grant Farrington? Saying that we've reviewed this and find nothing to object to?
I'm good with it.
Yeah. What do you think, Texas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sherry?
I'm gonna abstain because I have questions that don't need to be answered right now, but.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Alright, so
Harry has his hand up.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say that it's a modest proposal.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
it's a modest proposal, but not sweeping. So
It is to the community as well,
And
so.
he, I don't know if you met Harry, but he's our director for West County wastewater district. So-
Yeah, usually contacts.
Okay.
Alright, sewage district also has to give you permits to look into this.
So
That one's easy because it's already right through the.
Yeah, we have.
Terry, you have a question?
No, I will say.
No, I get it, it's convenient.
Terry, Terry has a point.
I'd like to say that I do appreciate that it is a small project that's being built and not some high rise and some big thing. So that much I do appreciate.
So it looks like we have 5 votes in support and 1 abstain, so.
Okay.
I'm gonna write a note to Grant Farrington saying that the SMAC review has no issues with this.
Okay, appreciate that. Yeah, thanks so much. And is that something you'd like to keep or? Okay.
I'm rolling up for you.
I appreciate it.
All right, so thank you so much for coming here and taking us through this.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, all right, let's see. Where are we?
I tried to roll it up, but I like it.
It's okay. It's gonna.
Okay, so next item, information reports by MAC members. If there are no information reports by MAC members, we have a subcommittee report. I know you had a meeting recently.
Yeah, we did. We had a great meeting. Last Wednesday, we had the honor of having a presentation by Sue Boudreau, our MAC member, who she's visiting, she's here now until Friday. But she gave us a wonderful presentation about what her involvement in England and Abington, the oldest city, contiguous city in England. And that's where she lives. And they've got this project going on where people meet, and she was trying to give us some ideas that what we could do, and we kind of correlated it with the idea of working maybe closer with the bid table or the shed to implement some of these things of making the cleanup and beautification much more part of a community building kind of activity. And so we'll be talking with the shed about that more. that of the possibility of making signs or things like that. We want to have a bigger PR outreach to the community to get them to stop littering. So we're thinking of either having contests or having a day where we're making signs, or maybe we'll come up with some ideas for designs and language around that. And we're looking into getting like yard signs that we could stick around the community possibly to remind people to stop littering. One idea, and then maybe PSAs and things like that. We're gonna look more into that as well. And next cleanup, third Saturday cleanup is this Saturday from 10 to 12. And you're all invited to come too and help us clean up the area, make sure it's all nice and litter free as much as we can. We meet at the library here in the parking lot, we have the equipment. And people sign in and they pick a location to clean up litter. Because if nobody else does it, it stays there on the ground and we don't like that stuff. So it takes community volunteers to help keep El Sobrante clean and beautiful. So, and then we have these new postcards. If you don't have them, please grab one. And on the back side of it is a good resource guide for how to report cleanups, how to recycle, where to dump things off, the Republic services that they offer the community as well. So please take a postcard and hope to see you on November 16th, Saturday, this Saturday, to clean up. I think, Perry, you have anything to add to that?
No, it was a good meeting though. I enjoyed listening to Sue, the different perspectives of how things are done from one country to another. It was just cohesive.
Yeah, we were talking to Sue about the idea of becoming sister cities with Abington, England.
Okay.
You know, something like that. That'd be kind of fun.
Hoity-toity.
We'd have to, do we have to attend our meetings in dinner jackets?
No, Tom.
No, but we will have the tea service with our meeting.
El Sobrante.
That helps your branding.
It wouldn't be so El Sobrante.
Yeah. Chris, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say that the planters are doing quite well. We're now going to winter, we're planning to do some more planting. Like last year, we got kind of project really kicked off right when things started drying out, so it involved a lot more hauling around water and hard to try to get things started, but that was good. The other thing is that the graffiti cleanup campaign is moving along, and Ramon has been like, hey, a lot of places, mostly I think on the downtown area or something like along that line. And did I hear something about graffiti hitting one of a mural or something in town?
I didn't hear that. I hope
Okay,
that's
hopefully
not.
not, but I know there's been some graffiti around the Ramon farm.
They might have been talking about the one on Main Road, but there's a new mural on Main Road and that might have been it, but.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure if I heard that right or not, but then one other thing I mentioned is that the sign, welcome to El Sobrante sign is still down. And there's an effort to get it up yet, but the problems haven't been dealt with because there's too much wood rot.
Okay, thank you, Vicky. So, final item, are there any suggestions for agenda items for our next meetings? Would you reiterate the issue with Brown Act?
Yeah, but you know, I think Ronnie realized that we don't need to have that as an agenda item, but it would be helpful to, you know. I know that in the email thread, the supervisor said that you only in it once, but. You know, I had my training on that, I think that was a decade ago. And I don't know, maybe the.
I was training on it just a few, I would say 3 or 4 months ago.
Lucky you.
Well, it was sent around to everybody. It was an online training.
It is, yeah.
Okay, I don't recall saying anything like that anyhow, but.
Maybe you can send your.
I can
select
select
that.
Oh, okay.
Didn't you just get one for?
Yeah, it's on you, it's on YouTube.
Then we don't have to have it as an agenda item,
So-
that's cool.
So, you know, we're in contact with DL Moore from the Public Services, but now that John Joya's in talking with her, maybe we don't need her to give a little report about their services?
That's what I'm thinking, is since they're in negotiation, maybe we should wait until something's more clear.
That's probably a good idea, since
Okay.
that's going on, so.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything special at the moment, but you know, if we, of course, if any of us come up with anything, we can always email.
Well, one thing that we've talked about in the past was having different organizational people from our community come in and update us on what they're doing, like the Elks or the any of the organizations. It would be nice to have just the community get to know. Some people have no idea what.
Well, we've had the Chamber of Commerce come in, but I like the idea of having maybe the Elks and the Moose.
Yeah.
What's the other one, the Masons? Masons come in.
Yeah, and I
We have a
don't know how to set
Rotary as
that
well.
up. Yeah, we have a Rotary, that'd be, actually, our Rotary is San Pablo now.
But, you know, they serve us as well, even if they're.
I did just pop in my head something, I don't know if we committee item or not, but you know, Mr. Herman has been, and Mr. Owens have been. Talking about trying to resurrect the El Sobrante zoning and planning subcommittee that used to exist a number of years ago, and then it kind of faded away. But they were thinking, and I was agreeing with them that we to come back, because I forget, we need people from this body, from the chamber, I believe, and also the May Valley Neighborhood Council to be on this subcommittee. Because it's very helpful to have a subcommittee, because we would get things like your application, and folks would be able to just go out, plan and walk and look at, or drive past the property and say, oh, it's this, and you know, the question that we might bring. But that was just for projects in general, because it used to be that, because I remember when I was in my first stint on MAC, the committee would have a report at the MAC meeting, and then it just kind of faded away, but there's a thought to bring it back.
So I don't know if this, you were rejoining the committee at that time, but we had a discussion about restarting this, and I think we reached out to the, at least to the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And I don't know that we heard anything back,
Okay.
and so it sort of withered on the vine, but it
Try to-
could be a good idea to start it again.
I rejoined just after, in fact, the first meeting that where I rejoined was the first meeting in this room. And that was in January of 2020, then we had February, and then we went away for like a year and a half. Something happened that like a
So.
pandemic or something.
Can I, want me to give a little context and history on that?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, all of you remember Eleanor Lloyd, right? Very active for years. So the El Sobrante Valley Planning and Zoning Committee was meant to be a body that incorporated representatives from the neighborhood councils on the Richmond side. There are now more neighborhood councils than May Valley, so you would have to consider all of those neighborhood councils, and the unincorporated side and the business community. And it predated your role in making recommendations on land use. So basically, it made recommendations on development issues in the valley, whether they were in the city or the county. At that time, I don't think the MAC made any, the MAC did not make recommendations on land use. It was this city county group. So if we thought about bringing that back, then we would have to do away with your role, because we couldn't have two bodies making recommendations. So the question really is, do you continue your role making recommendations on planning in the unincorporated area? And then the various neighborhood councils in Richmond make recommendations to the city on land use development in those neighborhood councils, or do you not have the neighborhood councils on the MAC make separate recommendations and have this planning and zoning group make it to both? I mean, I think that deserves discussion of what's the best approach, but that's what it did when it was around.
Thank you, John. appreciate that feedback and I think we'll maybe try to relay info to Jim and Tom since they're not here and they were.
Okay.
So I was gonna suggest maybe inviting Sohaila to see how we can see if there's some issues that overlap between us that we should be paying attention to. Or if she has any updates on what funding is available or something from the city of Richmond for the areas that are next door to us.
So I think maybe Sohaila could be at the next meeting if she's available.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's something that's,
Yeah.
Could you, sir, your office reach out to Councilmember Bana? See if she might be able to come to our next meeting?
Yeah, I'm glad to reach out to her on it.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, thanks, John.
Yeah.
That'll work.
made that request anymore, plainly, if it were in Abington.
Thank you, I think.
All right, so I think we're done for tonight.
Yeah, we can.
Motion to adjourn, will gavel.
We adjourned at 8:30 p.m.